I, 28M, built a successful tech startup from nothing, but now my family is demanding I make my brother a partner or they'll disown me. I don't know what to do. Hey Reddit, I never thought I'd be posting here about my personal life, but I'm at my wit's end and could really use some outside perspective. This is going to be a long one, so buckle up. I grew up dirt poor. Not, we can't afford new toys, poor, but, are we going to eat this week, poor. My mom, 43 farads, had me when she was just 15. My dad bailed the second he found out she was pregnant, and her parents kicked her out. They were ashamed of their teenage daughter getting knocked up, I guess. So it was just my mom and me against the world from day one. Our first apartment was this tiny, rundown studio in a rough part of town. We shared a mattress on the floor, and I remember how the springs would poke through, leaving red marks on our skin. But Mom would always say, "At least we have a roof over our heads, right?" Growing up like that, I knew I had to work my way out. We didn't have a choice. My mom did her best, working multiple jobs, but even that wasn't enough. I remember days when she'd skip meals so I could eat. She'd tell me she wasn't hungry, but I could hear her stomach growling. I could see how tired she was, but she never quit. By the time I was old enough to understand, I knew I had to do something. I wasn't going to be another statistic of poverty. As soon as I hit 18, I started working whatever job I could get. I wasn't picky. If it paid, I'd do it. Cleaning toilets, stacking shelves, delivering packages, you name it, I've probably done it. I was pulling shifts day and night, trying to juggle 3 or 4 jobs at a time, barely sleeping, just grinding day after day. But when you've been hungry before, you don't forget what that feels like. It sticks with you, like this constant reminder that you can't go back. It was during one of these jobs that I met this guy, let's call him my mentor, 47M. He was like something out of a movie, the self-made man who started with nothing but managed to build a small empire in tech. He took a liking to me and started giving me advice. At first, just small tips on how to handle myself, how to talk to people, how to negotiate. But I paid attention to everything he said. The more I talked to my mentor, the more I realized that working for someone else was never going to get me where I wanted to go. I needed to create something of my own. So I started brainstorming business ideas, and after a few months, I came up with a plan for my own tech startup. I pitched my idea to my mentor, and to my surprise, he liked it. He decided to back me with his advice and connections. With my mentor's guidance, I started my first small business at 25. It was a software development company, focusing on creating custom solutions for small to medium-sized businesses. At first, I was doing everything by myself, taking small jobs and barely making enough to scrape by. But it was mine. Every day I pushed a little harder, and slowly things started to grow. I remember the first few months were brutal. I was working out of my tiny apartment, using a second-hand laptop that would overheat if I ran too many programs at once. My diet consisted mostly of ramen and energy drinks. I lost weight. My eyes had permanent dark circles, and I'm pretty sure I forgot what sunlight looked like. But I kept at it. Every small victory felt huge. The first time a client paid on time, I almost cried. The first time I could afford to hire someone to help me, even if it was just a part-time assistant, felt like I'd won the lottery. Slowly but surely, things started to look up. My mentor eventually invested some of his own money into the business, but more than anything, he invested time. He taught me everything he knew about running a business, and I absorbed it all like a sponge. Slowly but surely, we expanded. One client turned into 2, 2 turned into 5, and before I knew it, I had a company that was running multiple projects across the city. The thing about success is that it sneaks up on you. One minute you're grinding every day, barely making ends meet, and then one day you look up and realize you've built something real. That's what happened with me. My company kept growing, and soon enough, we weren't just taking small jobs. We were doing full-blown commercial projects, had contracts with big companies, city projects, all kinds of stuff. I won't lie, It felt good to finally see the fruits of all that hard work. At 28, I'm now running a multi-million-dollar tech company. We've got offices in 3 cities, a team of over 100 people, and we're still growing. It's surreal sometimes, thinking about where I came from and where I am now. But while my business was thriving, my personal life wasn't as smooth. See, my mom never really got out of the poverty mindset. Even after I started making money, she always acted like we were still one step away from losing everything. And my brother, 25M, well, he's a whole different problem. While I was working my tail off to build something, my brother was getting into trouble, skipping jobs, hanging out with the wrong crowd. He didn't have that fire in him like I did. I've tried to help him out, offering him jobs at my company, but it never seemed to stick. He'd show up late, slack off, and then disappear when he realized he wasn't getting a fat paycheck right away. It was frustrating, watching him throw away opportunities that I would have killed for at his age. Now, here's where things start to go off the rails. Last week, I was visiting my mom, and I could already tell something was up. You know that vibe you get when someone's going to ask for something, and it's not going to be small? Yeah, that was all over the room when I walked in. She sat me down at the kitchen table, looking all serious, and started going on about how my brother's been struggling. This ain't news, my brother's always struggling. But then she hits me with, I think you should make your brother a partner in your business. I almost choked on my own spit. I was like, wait, what? She looked dead serious, like this was a normal thing to ask, like I could just snap my fingers and hand over half of everything I'd worked my ass off for. As if running a business was like handing someone a toy. I didn't even know how to respond for a second. I just sat there staring at her, trying to figure out if she was joking or if she had just completely lost it. But no, she was serious. She starts telling me how the jobs I gave my brother before weren't good enough for him. That's why he never stuck around. Apparently, it was embarrassing for her to see her son, the brother of a successful business owner, working low-level jobs. According to her, my brother needed a title, something that would give him respect. I tried to stay calm, but inside I was boiling. I told her, Mom, you know I can't just hand out positions like that. He doesn't have any experience. He doesn't even stick around long enough to learn the basics. Making him a partner would be the worst decision for the business. She didn't like that answer. She went straight to, but he's your brother. You're supposed to help him. I told her I've tried helping him. I've given him jobs. I've offered to train him for higher positions if he'd actually stick with something. But every time, he flakes. I'm not going to put the entire business at risk just because he's family. This business isn't just my livelihood. It's also the livelihood of hundreds of other people. That's when things took a turn. My mom, who I've been supporting financially for years, I'm talking paying her mortgage, her car loan, and sending her money every month, starts accusing me of using my money to control them. She said I was only giving them just enough to keep them dependent on me, that I didn't really want my brother to succeed because I was afraid of him becoming independent. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I've been bending over backward to help both of them for years. My brother has gotten more second chances than anyone I know, and every time he's blown it. And now my mom's accusing me of holding him back? I tried to explain it again, tried to stay calm, but she wasn't having any of it. She got more and more heated, saying I didn't care about family, that all I cared about was money. Then she hit me with the ultimatum. Either I make my brother a partner, or she would disown me. Yep, my own mother gave me an ultimatum. Make my lazy brother a partner, or I'm out of the family. Like, what? This woman, who I've been supporting for God knows how long, was ready to kick me to the curb because I wouldn't hand my business over to my brother. I tried to reason with her. I told her that I wasn't going to make a decision that would ruin everything I'd worked for just because she thought my brother deserved it. I told her that I'd given him more chances than he deserved, and every time he threw them away. Making him a partner wouldn't help him. It would only hurt me and everyone who works for me. But she wasn't hearing any of it. She kept going, saying I wasn't real family if I didn't support my brother, that I was selfish and greedy. Honestly, I was starting to lose it at this point. I asked her straight up, "Are you seriously going to disown me because I won't make him a partner after everything I've done for you?" She didn't even hesitate. She said yes. She said, I didn't deserve to be part of the family if I couldn't commit to their success. That's when I knew I was done. I told her fine. If she wanted to disown me, I wasn't going to fight it. If my worth to her was based on how much I could give my brother, then I didn't need to be part of that family anymore. I stormed out of the house, fuming, with her screaming after me. I didn't look back. Not this time. Now it's been a few days, and I can't stop thinking about it. I keep replaying that conversation in my head, trying to make sense of it. I gave them everything. I worked my ass off to get to where I am today, and instead of being proud, they want more. They want me to risk everything I've built just to make my brother feel better about himself. I don't know, maybe I'm the one who's wrong here, but it feels like I've been nothing but a wallet to them for years, and the second I say no, I'm the bad guy. I guess that's just how family is sometimes. You think you're doing the right thing, and they're over there thinking about what else they can get out of you. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. Part of me wants to call my mom and try to work things out. But another part of me is just tired. Tired of always being the responsible one. Tired of being expected to fix everyone else's problems. So, Reddit, what do you think? Am I the asshole for not making my brother a partner in my company? Should I just give in to keep the peace? Or am I right to stand my ground, even if it means losing my family? I could really use some outside perspective here. Update 1. Hey Reddit, it's been about 2 weeks since my last post, and I wish I could say things have gotten better. But they haven't. In fact, they've gotten much, much worse. First off, I want to thank everyone who responded to my original post. Your support and advice meant a lot to me during what's been a really tough time. I've been trying to process everything and figure out my next move, but life had other plans. Yesterday, my mom and brother, 25M, showed up at my office unannounced. I was in the middle of a meeting with some potential investors when my assistant came in, looking really uncomfortable. She whispered that my family was in the lobby, causing a scene and demanding to see me. I excused myself from the meeting, feeling a mix of embarrassment and anger. When I got to the lobby, I saw my mom yelling at the receptionist while my brother paced around, looking agitated. The second they saw me, they both started talking at once. My mom was going on about how I was tearing the family apart, and my brother was demanding to know why I thought I was too good for them. I tried to calm them down, aware that everyone in the office was staring. I suggested we go somewhere private to talk, but they weren't having it. My mom kept getting louder, saying I owed it to them to hear them out in front of everyone. She wanted my employees to see what kind of person I really was. That's when I lost it. I told them both that this was completely inappropriate and that they needed to leave immediately. My brother then got in my face, poking me in the chest and asking what I was going to do about it. I could smell alcohol on his breath. Great. He was drunk at 2 in the afternoon. I tried to back away, but he grabbed my shirt. Out of reflex, I pushed him off me. I didn't push him hard, but he was unsteady on his feet and stumbled backward, knocking over a potted plant. The crash seemed to echo through the now silent lobby. For a moment, everyone just froze. Then my mom started screaming that I'd attacked my brother. She was yelling about how I'd always been violent, how I thought I could solve everything with money and force. It was surreal, listening to her rewrite our entire history in front of my employees and clients. Security showed up at this point and started escorting them out. My brother was shouting threats the whole way, saying he'd sue me for assault, that he'd ruin my reputation. My mom was crying, telling everyone who would listen that I was a monster who'd abandoned his family. After they were gone, I just stood there in the lobby, surrounded by the mess and staring faces. I mumbled something about taking the rest of the day off and went home. I spent the night replaying the scene in my head, feeling sick to my stomach. This morning, I woke up to a flood of missed calls and texts from my mom and brother. They were alternating between apologies and more threats. My brother was demanding money to not press charges for assault. My mom was saying she'd go to the local news with a story about how I'd abused my family and used them to get ahead in business. I don't know if they can actually do any of this, but the threat alone is terrifying. I've worked so hard to build this company, to create something I'm proud of. The idea that they could tear it all down out of spite, it's almost too much to bear. After a lot of thought, I've made a decision. I'm cutting them off completely. I've already contacted my lawyer to stop all financial support. No more mortgage payments, no more allowances, nothing. I'm changing my numbers and email addresses. I'm going to have to tell my employees not to let them into the building under any circumstances. It feels drastic, and part of me is screaming that this is my family, that I can't just abandon them. But another part of me knows that this is long overdue. They've been taking advantage of me for years, and yesterday proved that they have no respect for me or what I've built. I keep thinking about what my mentor told me years ago. Sometimes, the most successful people are the ones who know when to walk away. I think this might be one of those times. I'm not sure what's going to happen next. I'm worried about retaliation, about what they might do. But I also feel relieved, like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. For the first time in years, I don't have to worry about their next crisis, their next demand. So Reddit, I guess this is less of a question and more of an update. I'm still processing everything, still trying to figure out how to move forward. But I wanted to let you all know what happened, and thank you again for your support. If anyone has been through something similar or has advice on how to handle the fallout from this, I'm all ears. I have a feeling the storm isn't over yet. Update 2. Hey Reddit. It's been about a month since my last update, and things have taken an unexpected turn. I'm still processing everything, but I felt like I needed to share this with you all. First off, thank you again for your support and advice. It's really helped me stay strong during this stressful time. I've been following your suggestions, like documenting everything and staying in touch with my lawyer. About a week ago, my brother showed up at my door, alone. Against my better judgment, I let him in. He looked different, defeated almost. Look, he started. I know I messed up. Big time. What happened at your office? That wasn't cool. I was drunk and stupid, and I'm sorry. I didn't say anything. Just waited for him to continue. Thing is, he went on, I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. I need to tell you something about Mom that got my attention. What about her? I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. He took a deep breath. She's going to lose the house. The bank sent a foreclosure notice last week. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Despite everything, the thought of our mom being homeless hit me hard. Why didn't she tell me? I asked, even though I already knew the answer. Pride, I guess. Or maybe she thought you wouldn't care after. You know, we sat in silence for a while. I was wrestling with a lot of emotions, anger, frustration, and yeah, a bit of guilt too. Finally, I looked up at my brother. What about you? I asked. Where are you staying? He shrugged. Couch surfing, mostly. Got a part-time gig at a warehouse, but it's not much. I nodded, more to myself than to him. Then, against every instinct screaming at me to not get involved again, I made a decision. I can't stop the foreclosure, I said slowly, but I might be able to help with finding a new place for Mom. Something she can afford on her own. My brother's head snapped up, his eyes wide with surprise. Really? You do that? I'm not doing it for her, I clarified quickly. I'm doing it because I don't want her on the streets. But there are going to be conditions. I laid out my terms. I'd cover 6 months of rent for a small, affordable apartment. After that, Mom would be on her own. No more handouts, no more showing up at my office, no more threats or guilt trips. If she wanted my help, she'd have to agree to all of this in writing. My brother listened intently, nodding along. When I finished, he let out a long breath. That's more than I expected, honestly. Thank you. As he was leaving, he turned back to me. I know I've screwed up, he said quietly. A lot. And I know I haven't been the brother you needed. I want to try and fix things. I don't want to end up like Mom. I didn't say anything for a moment. What was I supposed to say? It wasn't like an apology was going to erase all the years of frustration and resentment. But at the same time, I could see that he meant it. For once, my brother was actually trying. I hope you do, I said finally, but you've got to figure that out on your own. I can't keep fixing everything for you. He nodded and left without another word. After he was gone, I sat there for a long time, just thinking about how things had gotten so messed up between us, how I'd spent my whole life trying to be the responsible one, while my brother just floated along, never really taking control of his life. And now here we were, trying to navigate this mess of a family dynamic that had always felt like a ticking time bomb. I don't know if things are ever going to get better with my brother. Maybe this is the first step in the right direction, or maybe it's just more of the same. But at least this time, it feels like I'm finally setting some boundaries. Finally taking control of my own life, instead of letting them drag me down with theirs. I called my lawyer the next day and started making arrangements for Mom's new apartment. It feels strange, like I'm closing a chapter of my life, but it also feels necessary. I can't keep being their safety net forever. I haven't told Mom about the apartment yet. I'm waiting to have everything in order, including the agreement she'll need to sign. I'm bracing myself for her reaction. Knowing her, she might see this as an insult rather than the help it's meant to be. But I've made my decision, and I'm sticking to it. So that's where I'm at now, Reddit. I'm cautiously optimistic, but also wary. I've been burned too many times to fully let my guard down. But maybe, just maybe, this is the beginning of a new, healthier chapter for all of us. What do you think? Am I doing the right thing by helping with the apartment? Or am I just setting myself up for more drama? And how do I navigate this new dynamic with my brother? Any advice would be appreciated. Thanks for listening. As always. Update 3. Hey Reddit. It's been a couple of weeks since my last update, and things have gotten much worse. First, thanks to everyone who responded to my last post. Your support has meant a lot during this tough time. Remember how I was cautiously optimistic about my brother's change of heart and my decision to help with Mom's housing? Well, that optimism was misplaced. Badly. A few days ago, I got a text from my cousin. Turns out, my brother has been going around to every family member and friend, telling them how I've ruined his life, and how I'm the reason he's broke, jobless, and failing at everything. He's been playing the victim, saying I refuse to help him when he's at his lowest, and that I'm using my success to lord it over the family. He's conveniently leaving out all the times I've tried to help him, all the jobs I've offered, all the second chances I've given him. And people are believing him. I've been getting calls and messages from relatives I haven't spoken to in years, all asking why I won't help my poor brother when he needs it most. One aunt even said, "Family comes first. You should put aside your differences and help him." Where were these people when I was working 80-hour weeks to build my business? Where were they when I was sending money home to keep Mom afloat? Now they want to chime in? I tried to ignore it, but it's been eating away at me. I feel like I'm the bad guy again, even though all I've done is say no after years of saying yes. Then, yesterday, I got another knock on my door. My brother, and this time, he wasn't alone. He brought one of our cousins with him, like having backup was going to change my mind. I opened the door and just stood there, waiting for them to start. My brother didn't waste any time, going on about how I've abandoned him, how I'm letting him drown while I sit back with all my success. My cousin jumps in and says, "You can't just leave your family like this. We're supposed to stick together." That's when I lost it. I told them straight up, "I've done more than enough for both of you. He's had every opportunity I could give him, and he's thrown them all away. I'm not responsible for fixing his life anymore. He's got to figure this out on his own." My brother started getting defensive, saying it's not his fault, that he's just had bad luck. And that's when I told him, "No, it's not bad luck. It's bad decisions. Every time I tried to help you, you either didn't take it seriously or bailed when it got hard. I'm done bailing you out." It got quiet after that. I think they realized I wasn't going to budge. My cousin, still trying to play peacemaker, says, "We're just worried about him, but I'm done worrying." I told them both that I'm not going to keep enabling my brother's behavior, and if they want to help him, they can do it without me. They left after that, and I haven't heard from them since. But honestly, I feel good about it. For the first time, I stood my ground without feeling guilty about it. I've spent the last couple of days thinking about all of this, and I've come to a decision. I'm cutting ties with my family, completely. I know it sounds harsh, but I can't keep doing this. I can't keep being the bad guy just because I refuse to let them take advantage of me anymore. I've already called my lawyer and started the process of revoking the offer for Mom's apartment. I'm changing my phone number and email address. I'm going to have to tell my employees not to let any of my family members into the building, no exceptions. It feels drastic, and part of me is screaming that this is my family, that I can't just abandon them. But another part of me knows that this is long overdue. They've been taking advantage of me for years, and it's clear they have no respect for me or what I've built. I keep thinking about what my mentor told me years ago. Sometimes, the most successful people are the ones who know when to walk away. I think this might be one of those times. I'm not sure what's going to happen next. I'm worried about retaliation, about what they might do or say. But I also feel relieved, like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. For the first time in years, I don't have to worry about their next crisis, their next demand. So, Reddit. I guess this is less of a question and more of an update. I'm still processing everything, still trying to figure out how to move forward. But I wanted to let you all know what happened, and thank you again for your support. If anyone has been through something similar or has advice on how to handle the fallout from this, I'm all ears. I have a feeling the storm isn't over yet. And to anyone out there dealing with toxic family members, it's okay to put yourself first. It's okay to walk away. You're not responsible for fixing other people's lives, even if they're family. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do, for them and for yourself, is to step back and let them figure things out on their own. Thanks for listening, Reddit. Here's hoping the next update, if there is one, will be from a calmer, drama-free life.